What's up, guys? Another Blind Reacts looking at the Manson kind of clan, less about Manson specifically and looking at his clan. In previous video, we talked about a little bit about the surrounding of the Manson cult. And I think Leslie Van Houten was mentioned as one of the women who helped Manson carry out his bidding. And here we have Susan Atkins, who was part of his clan. And so I'm going to kind of be analyzing a little bit of her behavior.
Every night when I go to sleep, I know there's no pretending. There's no undoing. There's no wiping it out. There's no whitewashing it. It's there. It's a fact. It happened, and I was a part of it.
Susan Atkins was a part of the most chilling spree in Californian history.
I feel that there are 8 lives that had I not been involved, they may still be alive today. 8 worthwhile human beings who had the right to live, and they're no longer alive. And that's something that I live with every day. I'm sorry. They really are.
After 17 years in prison, the woman usually described as America's most vicious miss says she's found God. And after years of silence, Susan Atkins has given us an extraordinary new version of the Manson. She now says she was a witness, but not a...
I've spoken the truth as I've talked to you. And the truth is I never killed anybody. I lied at the grand jury. I lied at the trial and said that I killed people that I in fact did not. I live with that knowledge. I live with the fact that people think that I killed a pregnant woman 8.5 months pregnant.
As you listen to more of Susan Atkins' remarkable turnaround, you'll get a chance to...
Ooh, look at her face. I am concerned about this, and she actually died in prison in 2009, I think they were saying. But this face right here, now she's, oh, that's very Manson-like. That is very Manson-like. I wonder if the tears were manipulative to try to feign sorrow and feign man, I can't think of the word, but to feign remorse. That's the word I'm looking for, to feign remorse. But now there's a switch. Now she's leaning forward and she's trying to, well, you know, if you think about it, she's getting ready to explain herself why she shouldn't be here anymore. And, you know, actually, if you think about it, I didn't keep anybody. Ooh, that is Charles-esque right there, because Charles would not take responsibility. She still has Charles Manson's ideals and shit. I don't even think she knows it. While she's trying to claim innocence and not knowing things. Yo, you went in there and 8 people say different, bruh. Somebody did it. Somebody did it.
Judge whether or not she's changed. She certainly looks and sounds different to when she was one of the Manson girls laughing their way through the trials. The family lived in the desert near Los Angeles under the hypnotic spell of Charles Manson. He's also in jail, and he's also eligible for parole, but the feeling is he'll never go free.
I read the other day where I had magical powers, and I told everybody in the chapel, I said, zap, 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 zap. I said, where's my magical powers? Well, you can't believe what you read in the press. I can get no magical powers, mystical trips, and all that kind of crap.
Charlie Manson sent out his family, a family of deer into the Hollywood Hills, believing that they could start a war between blacks and whites. First, the family went creepy crawling, as they put it, breaking into these big houses at night while the people were sleeping. And then they began to the rich and the famous with a kind of horror and viciousness even Hollywood wasn't prepared for.
How had Charlie instructed you to behave when this was happening?
Mercilessly, coldly, and brutally terrorizing people. I wasn't instructed to show any mercy.
The motive of the Manson family was to attain political power in the United States. They wanted to start a race war between blacks and whites.
Deputy District Attorney Stephen Kay helped put the Manson family behind bars. Now he's fighting to keep them in jail because he says they're a threat to society.
Manson, the family, would at least rule the United States. It was never clear if they were going to rule the world, but at least the United States.
The Manson family's most famous victim was the 26-year-old actress Sharon Tate, the wife of film director Roman Polanski. Manson picked a house, and Sharon Tate happened to be there. For no other reason than that, her life ended, and what a terrible end it was. On a hot August night in 1969, part of the Manson family, Susan Atkins, Tex Watson and Patricia Krenwinkel, carried out what the prosecutor later called the most horror-filled hour in American criminal history.
I was looking at trying to see. You got Susan Tate here. She's the rich and famous. She's up in the hills or at Hollywood. So she's doing her thing. They probably got money. And I was just looking up the La Bianca, if they were wealthy, and I think they actually were. I think Lino was a grocer, and I think he was a wealthy grocer. He owned business stores, and I think his wife was a businesswoman, and so they kind of had, if I'm correct, I could be wrong, they had money. They had money. And so I think Manson often talks about this idea of being in the underworld. And so the motivation here, and I think there's a pattern, is that he's attacking rich people.
At Sharon Tate's house over there, they butchered 5 people. Susan Atkins confessed during her trial that they kept Sharon until last to make her suffer. She was 8.5 months pregnant.
Everybody was terrified. It was a terrifying, horrible. Can we not talk about this? This is really hard for me to talk about it.
Oh, really?
Well, Susan Atkins was the actual of Sharon Tate. One
Right.
of the worst things that she did was during the course of the stabbing.
That woman did not need to get out. Can we not talk about this? Oh, you do not need to let her out at all. And thank God she didn't get out, because if she would have got out, she would have went straight back to Charles, and she would have done his bidding, and the spree would have continued.
She drank Sharon Tate's blood, and she said that she was so turned on by and drinking the blood that she had an orgasm.
The district attorney says you drank Sharon Tate's blood.
I never did that.
The district attorney says that you said it was better than orgasm.
I never said that to the district attorney.
Sharon Tate was asking for God and her mother, and just pleading for her baby. She said, "All I want is to have my baby."
Fanny Bryce is to the left here, and Bing Crosby's family is right over here.
Sharon Tate Polanski and her unborn baby are buried in LA's Holy Cross Cemetery. Among all who come to see the graves of the Hollywood legends, there's no sadder visitor than her mother, Mrs. Doris Tate. How do you remember Sharon?
I remember as an eternal 26-year-old girl, you know.
26,
a woman
bruh.
that was beginning her family.
What Doris Tate cannot comprehend is how her pregnant daughter could be stabbed to death by a young woman who was a mother herself.
She begged and she begged and she begged. And Susan Atkins' reply again was, "Shut up, you're going to die."
The court transcripts show that you said, "Shut up, I'm going to..."
And now Susan Atkins is asking for parole. But every time she appears before the
Bruh, her eyes are telling me everything I need to know. She blinked and she just kept looking straight. She didn't give an answer. She didn't give a reason why. Yo, you said this. Where's all of that talk of? Because she told what she just said with the district attorney, what she didn't say to the district attorney. Now tell me what you didn't say to that woman before you unalived her. Now be as fervent, because she just blinked in because she just remembered it. She did that slow blink because she remembered it, and it stopped her in her tracks, and she was about to try to lie, but she couldn't. Her body made her tell the truth.
And now
she
Susan
shook her head
Atkins
yes.
is asking for parole. But every time she appears before the parole board, Doris Tate is there pleading that she be kept inside forever.
I live with these screams and these beggings for her life daily.
The first time that I saw her, I could have taken her by the neck and just broke every bone
not
in her
even
body, just
looking.
thrown her down, you know? They have proven they cannot live in a society with other people.
I don't know that Mrs. Tate could ever forgive me. My hope is that someday she will. Not as a means for me to be released, but as a means for her to find some peace.
Oh, this is bad.
I know the pain and the suffering that I caused Mrs. Tate.
The tears are
Victimizing.
fake. I feel that
Fake.
Susan Atkins is a Sarah Bernhardt on the stage.
Because she just was sitting there when Deborah Tate was crying. Her eye was crying and welling up. She was sitting there looking down, getting ready for her performance. And now she's performing. This is crazy.
Classy little actress.
A classy little actress, absolutely.
Acting.
But listen to Susan Atkins and she'll tell you it's not an act. After 17 years in prison, 7 of them in solitary, she says she's paid the price.
I had to forgive myself, and that's not something that I did overnight. That's not something that I think I've totally accomplished. It's a day-by-day process. There are times when I lay and I cry. Because of what I did, because of the pain that I caused so many people.
She says she feels, but she has not said she's sorry for what she did. I haven't heard this woman say, I am truly sorry for what I did.
Can you get out the words and say to Sharon Tate's parents that
That's what I'm saying.
you're sorry for what you did that night?
You ask hard questions. There are no words to describe what I feel.
Bruh.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh, please forgive me. Those words are so overused and inadequate for what I feel.
So which Susan Atkins do you believe? The Charlie's Angel who joked about...
This is a cold-blooded.
Or this sad-eyed convert to Christianity?
I know that I would not want, if my son were brutally, I would not want to walk around hating every day of my life. Somebody forgive my child.
It may not be hate, Susan. Maybe people can't understand you. The fact that you were involved in those killings.
I don't understand myself and the fact that I was involved in those things
Could you
16, 17 years ago. But I understand what you're saying, that people cannot understand. They look at me and they see this, they see me as I sit here.
There it is, right? I'm telling y'all, these women, they got something in them that was Charles Manson like, and birds of a feather fly together. She flocked to Charles because she felt like they could be a dynamic duo. And I'm telling you right now, Charles all she needed was a reason. Charles gave her a reason to justify. Man, I'm telling you right now, I think Charles lit the match, but yo, she was already on her way. She wanted to do this. I think that she's more dangerous than Charles. I'm telling you right now, she is more dangerous than Charles.
Every day, I look in the mirror and I find it difficult to believe that I was ever involved in something.
Bruh,
like
this
that.
is like I'm thinking the first thing that comes to my mind is like Joker and Harley Quinn.
You mean they think you're a monster?
Yeah,
A
and
devil?
I'm not. I'm a human being. I'm a human being that got caught up in drugs. I'm a human being that got caught up into listening to a maniac. And I followed him, and I hurt and destroyed a lot of lives, but I'm still a human being. I still feel. If you cut me, I will bleed.
A dagger was attached to his body.
This man believes Susan Atkins has already bled enough. Television preacher Father Michael Manning is telling his nationwide audience it's time to set her free.
If they let her out, who could possibly take responsibility for it?
I'd be willing to. I've known Susan and I've spoken to the parole board that I'd be willing to give her a job. I believe that Susan has changed, and I'm not afraid that of sitting in my desk and all of a sudden her coming with that's a thing of the past. It's a shame. It's a shame that a woman like Susan, who has all of these talents and who has all of this need to make reparation, if you will, for what she's done, that she can't. Society won't allow her. Society won't forgive her, and that's a real bother to me.
Right. The girl that can't even say sorry.
American society thinks it already has enough craziness loose on the streets.
The girl can't even say sorry.
It was the drugs and the violence that turned on Susan Atkins after a rotten childhood.
Your life, even before Charlie Manson, was not pretty.
No, it wasn't.
I knew it.
I didn't have what you would call an ideal upbringing.
I knew it.
I'm the child of 2 alcoholic parents. I'm a victim of incest.
Yeah.
My mother died when I was 14. I did not do good in school. I ran away when I was 18 and went to the city and tried.
When she left home, she got into drugs in doses that would send anyone crazy.
My brain was fried. I probably had over 350 experiences, separate individual experiences, in less than a year and a half.
Trying to get us to feel sorry for her. But I knew it. I knew there was something in the background that primed her and set her up. And Charles can recognize it from a mile away. He knows who he's talking to. He knows his audience, and he knows them well, and he knows how to get to them and reach them.
I smoked on a daily basis, anywhere from 2 or 3 joints to a lid.
Along with the drugs came the bearded guru Charles Manson, who could talk her into anything, even...
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, we got witches and devils, and one guy come up and said, I heard you said you were Jesus. I said, no, man, I ain't said that. He said, I'm glad. He said, I'm glad. I said, why? He said, I know you ain't him. I said, how do you know? He said, because I am.
Did he once seem like a god to you?
He had, he captured my attention by the power he possessed with his mind to make people feel good about themselves in the beginning. And there was a charisma there. Yeah, there was a charisma there, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Yep. Do you think he should ever be released?
It would be a mistake if he were ever released.
You think he is still a threat?
Yes.
Many Americans obviously worry that if you were released, that you would again.
Thank you.
I know in my heart I couldn't kill anybody today, tomorrow, next year.
You've already done it. What do you mean? I'm confused.
I could not do it. It's not in me.
But could she have 17 years ago? What you're about to hear, Susan Atkins has never told her fellow prisoners or the parole board. She now says she lied during her trial because of Charlie Manson's hold on her.
Did you or did you not, Doris Tate?
No, I did not.
I thought you told me earlier, though, that why you felt so bad is that you're craving forgiveness for what you did.
I was involved. I was there.
Good
I
question.
participated. It's the same thing as actually taking a life in by law. Maybe I could have stopped it. I didn't.
So the mass now says she didn't at all. Manson gave the orders, and the other man in the pack, Charles Tex Watson, did the...
Why couldn't you speak up during the trial and say, I was there, I was part of it, but I didn't...
The women in the Manson family, at that point in time, were expected to back the men. And for some reason, I felt it necessary to take blame upon myself.
During the trials, though, you laughed at the system, you laughed at the victims.
I think that I went along with the program that was laid out.
Okay.
Charlie's program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you clear up once and for all what your account is? What actually happened?
I was instructed to go to the Tate home, and I went into the Tate home. And I saw people brutally, and I was instructed to kill 2 people, and I could not do it. I couldn't do it.
The prosecutor, Stephen Kay, was surprised at her news story, but his assessment of Susan Atkins is still the same.
I think Susan Atkins is without a doubt the most dangerous female criminal that I have met in 19 years in the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office.
And the changes in Atkins' story have made no impression on Doris Tate.
The bottom line was they killed her, and being the mother of this child, I am going to do whatever is necessary to see that justice is done. And to have them released and put out on the streets, there is no justice to that at all.
Even the priest who wants to set her free thinks she is a...
It seems that she did do that. In her mind, I think there's a bit of confusion, and yet I think she's living also, when she reflects on that, in a dream world, the world of drugs and whatnot. I suppose in my own heart, she probably did.
Bishop! She ain't got no drugs in there. She's sober. What makes you think that she's gonna get out and not do the same thing to you when you know good and well she did it? We know she did it, but she telling us she ain't had nothing to do with it.
Everything that I was told to do that night, I did, with the exception of somebody.
As incredible then, Susan, as your tale is, how do you convince anyone that you are now telling the truth?
I don't know that it's important for me to convince anybody.
What?
I know that I live with the truth daily.
What that got?
Whether I killed somebody or I didn't kill somebody, I was there while 8 people died needlessly, and I didn't do anything to stop it.
In order to get out of jail,
That's what I live with.
in order to get out of prison,
Because I
honey,
didn't do anything to stop it.
we gotta believe you. bruh, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. She's more dangerous. She was more dangerous than Charles, but I will tell you why. She needed a reason because of the things that happened to her. And like Charles was saying, they bonded over the trauma bonding. And so they both needed a reason to sort of come about their own kind of justice. And they found it funny to try to start a race war, to have people fight amongst each other over race. And they would have thought it was funny to laugh at people's calamity because of what happened to them and how no one was there for them when they needed people the most. That's what they're mad at. That's what they're upset at. I needed you the most. I needed somebody to be here. Nobody was here for me. Where were you guys? So forget this system. This system ain't nothing. This system doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It don't protect nobody that's supposed to protect. Forget y'all. I don't care what happens to anybody, you know? And so when you ask them and you try to hold them accountable, you can't, because I deny. And I don't even have to have a reason for denial. Who cares? I don't care. Who cares? You know, you did this. I don't care. Because, you know, where were you guys? Because it's always going to go back to, where were you guys at when I was being taken advantage of? Where were you guys at when something bad was happening to me? Nobody protected me. Why should I be worried about somebody else's protection and somebody else's life and safety? It's crazy, man. Crazy. So I appreciate you sticking with me. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought. Until the next video, take it easy.